Hey guys, Loma02. Currently getting ready to draft the Vintage Cube on MTGO. I'm going to try to do a serious draft this time. So, drafting Cube gets kind of funny. It gets boring after a while because if you draft just like the best decks and they're available, or you're just drafting extremely well, like you tend to get very good decks. What you have in front of you is like my last deck I drafted, which is hilarious. It's a High Tide, essentially Carevex Torch combo deck. It was not good. It went 2-1. It went 2-1, mind you, but like I'm going to try not to do this time. The deck was pretty sweet, though. Alright, so this pack. The cards initially stick out in my eye are Chandra Torch Defiance and Karn Liberated. Karn Liberated is more open, obviously, but he's also a 7-mana card, and his power level is kind of precipitated upon how much artifact mana you get. Chandra Torch Defiance is just efficient. She can go in probably a wider range of decks than Karn can. Karn just goes in control decks or ramp decks. Like ramp or control is going to play Karn. There's not really a good ramp card I can wheel. There's also not like a good like red card I can wheel out of this pack. Recurring Nightmare is also interesting, and that's more of a fun card. And if we were to wheel out of this pack, which Acidic Slime's possible to wheel, it is one of 2 green cards in the pack. Scrubland, yeah, no. If it was like a blue duel, I'd probably first pick it here. Your Appeal, not even contention. Mindslaver, kind of a alt win con / second tier win con. Karn Scion of Urza is actually also very potent, and I think maybe actually the best pick in this pack. I like Chandra, though. I'm going to pick up Chandra here. And this may mean we go into like a red deck win style deck, but there's no good red deck win style deck card in that pack for someone to pick. And here would be Hazoret the Fervent if we're going to go that route, because Grim Lavamancer has the highest chance of wheeling. Hazoret is a signal like, hey, you should try to do this. Like, it is one of the best 4-drops as well as Chandra. So like the best 4-drops are Fiery Confluence, Hellrider, and like probably these 2. Avalanche Riders is not where it's at. Alright, Dualcaster Mage is not really where you want to be on red deck wins. So we could look at a blue-red style deck. Hazoret really doesn't go in that. That being the case, like Pierce is probably the best card for that, or Commit to Memory. Commit to Memory is another 4, but I think I'm going to take Commit. I think Commit is significantly more powerful of a card than Pierce is. Pierce is just efficient. It's kind of tough. I mean, Pierce has a higher chance of wheeling too. Like Ancestral Visions is too slow in this format, I think. I'm gonna take Commit. I'll put Hazoret in the board for now. And then we get Firecraft and Wandering Fumarole. I haven't seen any good creatures yet. Firecraft, Porcelain Legionnaire could go in the aggro style deck. Wandering Fumarole is just good fixing. Celestial Colonnade's a good blue-white land. Frost Titan's not a bad blue finisher. It's not the best. Like, Consecrated Sphinx is probably the best blue 6-drop finisher. Torrential Gearhulk's probably still better than Frost Titan as well. I think what I'm going to do here is try to stay open and take the Wandering Fumarole. And then we get a Mana Leak, which is quite a nice reward. I mean, Mana Leak's a great card in a blue-red style deck. I don't think Hazoret goes in that deck, but I would have rather had Grim. But Grim, like I said, I think Grim has the higher chance of wheeling than Hazoret. And Hazoret was a signal for the red deck if we're going to be playing that. Okay, well, our pick, if we want to try to stay in blue-red, is between Augur Bolus and Magma Jet. And I think Magma Jet is a fine enough card, in either an aggressive style red deck, red-blue deck, or just a blue-red control style deck. Obviously, when you go blue-red, you tend to want to have the ounce to go into Splinter Twin combo. That is probably one of the highest upside combos for this style of deck. But you could just trip people out as well. I mean, it's a fine attritional deck as well. Okay, here, I think it's a pretty easy Chain Lightning. The pick would go between Chain Lightning, Hangerback Walker, and then Sweltering Suns. Basalt Monolith is good power mana. It doesn't make mana the turn it comes into play, though, which makes it a little less optimal. It would have gone better with, like, a first-pick Karn, like we saw before. We're definitely not taking this dude, this big Eldrazi dude. Although, I could see picking him if you had Sneak Attack, or if you wanted to have ounce to playing Sneak Attack. But I think I'm going to take the safe pick and just take Chain Lightning, because it can go in a couple different styles of red-blue deck. Sneak Attack is another way that this deck can tend to win. Like, you could do Sneak and Show. I don't tend to like Show as much. Okay, well, this is an interesting pack because we are seeing signs that maybe the red deck is available. I do think if you're going to try to force a mono red deck, you tend to want to have the 1-drops available first before you take the burn or the big cards. Although, like, some of the 4s are compelling. Like, Koth is kind of compelling, but he's, he only goes in that deck. Chandra can go in a couple decks, so I think she's compelling as well. I think here, though, we're just going to take a Char. It can nug someone randomly. It's good removal. It removes, a lot of the good mid-range threats, or the smaller ones. So we're kind of like blue-red burn right now. We do not have a high creature base. I don't think Hazoret is good in the current deck we have built. But like I said, I mean, I wanted to stay somewhat open and see if I could either go blue-red or just go mono-red based on my first pick, Chandra Torch of Defiance. I do think, looking back on that, Karn was a decent pickup. I actually haven't been that impressed by Karn, Scion of Urza in this format. He has a card advantage engine, most certainly, but I haven't seen a lot of good out of the guy. All right, here, this is interesting. So we could go Jeskai, or try to look at Jeskai and take a Dragonlord Ojutai. The Scrubland is not going to be played in this deck unless we go like 4-color, like, control. Although, like, going 4-color control seems more like viable than playing Ojutai in this deck. Mindslaver, no thanks. Someone else can do that. Okay, well, there's an Olivia Voldaren, but I think I'm just going to pick up the Grim Lavamancer here. He did wheel as expected. All right, the red cards are coming back pretty readily. Like, Gideon is probably the best card, like, singularly in this pack. Baneslayer Angel, sorry, you're just getting a little bit old, lady. I'm going to pick up Dualcaster. Like, Dualcaster is not a card I'm always high on. All right, so red aggro is open then, because, like, all the cards that we saw came back. Portion Legionnaire is a good aggressive creature card. And I think with the volume of burn I have right now, I would prefer to have this dude, actually. Doesn't really matter here. I guess Mana Flare, in case you want to fireball them out. So the red aggressive deck I do believe is open right now. I don't think we wasted any picks missing out on some good red cards. So I think I am going to try to transition the deck over to a red deck wins style deck, as opposed to like a blue-red deck. But we'll remain open. I mean, like, if we do see certain cards, like we may commit to going back into blue. But I just think based on what we saw, and that's one of the ones I really don't want to see that, like, 'cause that just like makes me feel bad in my heart to like have said that and then see that. All right, so Ancestral Recall is either the first or the second best card in this cube. The first or second going between it and Sol Ring, I think. Black Lotus is also up there, obviously, and it goes in any deck, but yeah, I can't not take that. Now we need fixing. So we're going to play like blue-red aggro, counterburn. Sulfuric Vortex will likely come around, but so will the Jackal Pup. The Sulfuric Vortex is a higher upside card, but I do want aggressive creatures for this style of deck. There's a Dire Fleet, Daredevil, and a Treachery, which is pretty sweet, and some burn. I'm going to take the creature. The Treachery is probably the best card in this pack. I could also just splash for the Ancestral Recall. Like, Mana Leak does not per se make this deck better. Ancestral Recall, if you can play it, makes pretty much any deck better. Especially an aggressive deck that can like kind of dump its hand and like doesn't have to worry about like discarding to Ancestral, because that is a thing in cubes. Sometimes you have these slower control decks that Ancestral on your end step and then on their next end step, because they can only make a land drop and they can't per se play anything because their threats tend to be bigger. And they have to leave counter magic in hand, tend to go to a discard phase and just ditch it. And there's an old parable. You don't really want more counter magic in your hand than you can cast, because at that point, they're just pretty much dead cards for that turn cycle. But yeah, I do think Red Deck Wins is fairly open, and I think the deck is quite good. It'll be interesting to see if the Jackal Pup comes back. I assume it will. It is one of the worst red 1-drops, but it still is a red 1-drop, which is good. The other thing is, if I'm going to be playing a more aggressive-based deck, alright, well, this pack has Fiery Confluence, which, as I said, is one of the better 4-drops. Imperial Recruiter allows you to go into the Splinter Twin combo, but I think I'm just going to pick up the multimodal, multifunctional, not combo card, but power card. So, Manic Vandal is generally going to be a higher pickup in this cube, but I think Scalding Tarn is actually what I would really want, because it does allow me to run the Ancestral in a red deck win style deck and find fixing for it. This pickup's pretty easy. It's just going to be a 1-drop. It's definitely not going to be Gilded Lotus in this deck. Rekindling Phoenix will likely come around, and I don't think it's one of the more optimal 1-drops. Strip Mine is a great pickup here, and we don't really want to wheel anything out of this pack, so, yep. Wandering Fumarole, like I was saying, though, I think is a little more dicey in Red Deck Wins, because you really need to be casting your spells on curve to enable the full power of this style of deck. Hazoret also does not generally want to share the 4-drop spot with most other things. So Chrome Mox is an option. Crucible of Worlds, Strip Mine is a pretty cool combo, but I think it's kind of slow and hinky for this style of deck. Goblin Dark Dweller's value goes up a little bit when you're playing Ancestral Recall. I think Chrome Mox is probably what I'm going to end up taking, though, is I think, if you get Sulfuric Vortex, there's certain things you can just get down on the board faster. It tends to be better, even though the Dwellers is quite powerful. I mean, it's a little expensive, but I think Chrome Mox is the better pickup here. Okie doke. Well, Smuggler's Copter I think is going to be what I take. I don't like Chandra Pyromaster in this style of deck. I mean, it's a fine card, but it's not exactly where you want to be. Now, the next pack should have had the Jackal Pup in it, which I'm really hoping comes back, because Smuggler's Copter becomes a little more speculative when you only have 5 creatures in your deck. If you hadn't heard that or known that before. A couple cards notable that we have not seen. Shrine of Burning Rage, Goblin Guide, Fire Blast, but I think Fire Blast, if it is opened, we'll get a chance at it. Yeah, and there's the Pup. The Pup was pretty certain to wheel there. I also think the Chrome Mox is a little more interesting over the Goblin Dark Dwellers, because we do have the Ancestral, and if we're able to, I mean, I'd rather have Diamond over Chrome Mox, but if we're able to recoup some lost cards with Ancestral due to playing cards like Chrome Mox, I think that's fine, and a lot of kind of low economy cards like Chain Lightning, Magma Jet, Char. These tend to be just 1-for-1s, or basically 0-for-1s, because you're just doing damage to something. If you're not removing a creature, you're not really trading for cards. Well, we're a little light on creature playables right now. I mean, if we had to play this deck as is, this is a fine sideboard card. We could play the Dualcaster Mage. I mean, this does allow you to copy an Ancestral, which is kind of neat. The only other blue card I would be compelled to play in this deck if I got it now would probably be like Time Walk. This is a pretty easy Mutavault. There's no other pick in that pack for the style of deck we're playing. Obviously, Red Deck Wins gets a lot better when it doesn't have to splash. And I rarely think you want to. Blade Splicer or Moat? I think Blade Splicer is actually more relevant against this deck than Moat would ever be. Yeah, the White Weenie deck is open, but it often is. I think if you want to force that, 9 times out of 10 you can force it and actually get there with White Weenie. It's just not the best deck. Alright, so there's a Signet, there's a Flame Tongue Kavu. I already have a ton of 4s. The Signet is not really where this style of deck wants to be. I think actually I'm just going to take the Phyrexian Revoker here and hope to wheel one of these 2 red cards. Ideally the Flame Tongue Kavu, because I think, actually Fact or Fiction is interesting too in a splash red deck. Okay, so the Bolt is the least likely to wheel of the 2, although I really do want Eidolon as well, but I'm going to pick up Bolt here because I think it's, it's the more strong card, and it can go in a lot more decks than Eidolon does. Eidolon goes in like 1 deck. Goes in Red Deck Wins. So, well, this is an easy one too. I want more creatures. I'm going to be now at 8, and this is a great creature. Okay, well, no creatures in this pack, but we do have an Abrade, which is a pretty strong card. On the wheel, we could possibly hope for a Sword of Feast and Famine. Force of Will is not going to get there in this deck. Benalish Marshal goes in exactly 1 deck. I think they put him in here more for marketing, but I do think Benalish Marshal is good. I do think they need to take the Honor of the Peer out of the cube, though, and put in like Council's Lieutenant or something along those lines. So we have 2 ways of dealing with artifacts. We did not get the Manic Vandal back, so someone else is in red or splashing red at a minimum. The chances of the Vu coming back, the Kavu, are probably lower, and I don't know how much I really want another 4 in this deck. I think I really just want like 1s, 2s, and 3s right now. And then if I get very lucky, like a Volcanic Island would be very nice with the Scalding Tarn. It'll allow me to play this Ancestral Recall. I do think as the deck stands right now, I mean, I would play 1 island in this build, and I do have the Wandering Fumarole to fix, although I'm not as happy about that because it is a tapped land in a tempo-based deck, which is not ideal. Well, we're not going to see Time Walk now, so we don't have to be too concerned about picking up another blue card. That would be one of the few cards I would run in this deck in addition to Ancestral Recall. I can't think of many other blue cards I would. Fact or Fiction gave me pause because that is just a lot of cards. It's generally going to be like a 2 or 3 for 1. Alright, Goblin Chainwhirler or Zergo Bellstriker. I do think in this pack Goblin Chainwhirler has the higher chance of wheeling, although I would really like to have him. But I think the 1-drop is more relevant to this style of deck than the 3-drop that no one else other than this deck is really going to want to have. So unless someone hate drafts him, and I didn't look that much at the pack, I probably should have looked a little harder at it. Okay, well, I think here, I mean, we're not really giving up much. Chandra Flamecaller does not go in this deck. Empty is just a combo card, even though they are red. I think we take it the Spire Bluff Canal, even though it's unfetchable. Here, Rishadan Port's very powerful, but I am a little playable light right now, so I'm going to take the Burn Spell. Stormbreath Dragon's a fine card as well. Here, Wasteland. Yeah, I mean, I'll take it. My mana base may be a little stretched by some of the cards. Alright, the Vu did come back, so I'll pick the Vu up. The Vu is fine. I mean, there's some matchups you don't want the Vu, but meh. Dualcaster may have to get played right now as this deck stands. I'm at 6 lands, puts me at 22. You ideally want to be on like 15 to 16 lands in this deck. You don't want to have too many. I think we will wheel the Chain Whirler, but I'm trying to think of what else I really wanted to wheel out of these packs. This was one of them, yeah. So we got this back, which is not a surprise. Like, generally speaking, folks don't want to play this card. If they're not on this specific deck. Alright, we'll pick up the red card for signaling. Alright, we'll pick up the tripped white card that we can never play. Yeah, as of now, Dualcaster may have to get in there. I mean, it's not the best. But, well, it is a card. We have Wasteland, Strip Mine, Mutavault. Like, I may want to cut the Mutavault just for mana consistency in this deck. I'm a little concerned about mana consistency right now. Because I'm going to have an island in this build. Maybe I cut the Ancestral. Like, cutting Ancestral seems wrong, though. Like, it's the power level of that is just so high in this style of deck. Yeah, as expected, this dude comes back. So that was good. So we're at 30 minus 6. Well, that's 24. Which means this could be playable. I don't know if the Mutavault's going to be right for this build. I'm at 12 creatures plus Mutavault. Chandra's kind of a creature. Alright, yep. Get in my sideboard, you. So what do I think of this build? It's close. It's very, very close. So if we just add basic lands right now, that puts us at 15. We do need one island in this deck, though. Do I cut the Mutavault? Maybe I cut the Fumarole. Add a basic island. Because it is fetchable. This puts me at 16. I think this is fine. I don't really like the tapped land. Like, the tapped land is just going to be rough in so many draws. And you technically go down here. I guess like that. I guess we can leave him there, but that's technically right. Would I rather have Dualcaster or Flame Tongue? I think the Flame Tongue. Alright, we're going to give this deck a shot. I don't know if we drafted the best deck we possibly could. I think we... I don't know. I think Karn and... The very first pick was more questionable. I just think with how that pack was going to signal... Like, Karn doesn't send a signal, right? Like, when you stay open, you're not sending signals. So, like, when folks say, like, hey, you're going to stay open in this draft, like, by taking the colorless card, yes, that's true. You know, and you get more time to read signals that other folks are sending. But when a pack lends itself to sending a signal downriver all the way around to the backside of the draft, then you tend to be able to kind of control what other folks are going to pick. So I think that was a debatable but decent call on our part. Well, this hand is not good. Do I keep this? No, this is unfortunately a mulligan. Alright, well, we're going to keep this and hope to scry a land to the top. I have 2 1-drops and a Magma Jet if I hit a land to fix my top deck. Alright, you're going directly to the bottom. And we are very much so hoping for a land. If we had a land, we'd play a Smuggler's Copter or a Jet. I think it'll really depend on what they do. If they play like a Mana Dork, then I'll probably just Jet it. And if they just play an island and I draw a land, then I'm probably going to Smuggler's Copter. And if I miss, well, I'm just going to play a Grim. Are they discarding to reanimate? Oh, no. Alright, G Brando. Alright, we're probably dead here. Yeah, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, yeah, I'm dead. This is going to feel a bad, man. The funny thing is, if we get the Sulfuric Vortex down, we could possibly raise this thing, but we're not going to have time. Unless they have, like, they have Reanimate. Yeah, sometimes they just have it, you know. And that's one of those things. We're going to give this a shot. They could draw here. I think that'd be kind of crazy, though. They'll get their attack in first. Domus down to 13, and then they can draw 7. It's possible that I can still beat them with a Vortex. It's not very likely, but it is possible. Okay, Deathrite, that gains them life. This deck looks interesting they're playing. So they're playing like a rock-style deck. Okay. I think, oddly enough, I crew here because I think it's very important that I get down the Sulfuric Vortex next turn. And I think my life total is going to be a little bit relevant here. All right, loot. Yes. Chain Whirler, I think, can go away. This that gives them outs to gaining some life. But it leaves them at 10 and me at 20. Whew. Well, they can't draw here. If they want to draw here, they're going to die to the Lightning Bolt, which, yeah, they could try that. Okay. And discard Necrotol. Alright, so it looks like they're more of a fair-based deck. They do have Kitchen Finks, though, which is spooky against us. So we are banking very heavily on getting a land next turn. If we don't, I think the game is just over. And if we do, well, we'll be okay. Chrome Mox work too. I guess Chrome Mox technically does make this a 16-lander. You know, if we can resolve the Sulfuric Vortex, I think we're not in a horrible, horrible spot. Because they're already at 10, and I've got 5 points of burn in hand, plus the Grim and the attack. The Fire Drink Satyr, or whatever it's called. Alright, so we hit our land. I think what we need to do here is attack with the Fire Drink Satyr to get in 2 points of damage. So I think that is going to be relevant here. So get in there, you. They can block here, but I think they're going to want to leave their Deathrite in play. Now, if we played the Sulfuric Vortex first, it's most likely that they would block. Alright, they're going to block anyways to do a point of damage to us. Okay. Alright, take 1. Alright, Sulfuric Vortex. Well, opponent probably does not want to draw cards now. If they have like a disenchant effect, that would be pretty god-awful. Like Reclamation Sage would be very good here. They can try to draw into it, but if they miss, then they're probably just dead. A land would win me the game because I can go Bolt, Magma Jet, activate Grim, die to the Sulfuric Vortex. That's 7 damage, plus 2, down to -1. Like I said, this is going to be a really, really tight game because, yeah, turn 1 Gristlebrand is just rough. Guys, quick break here. Quick break. Alright guys, hey, sorry about that. I had to take a quick break to talk on the phone. I had a phone call come in that I had to take. So we lost that game. Unfortunately, they had another reanimation spell, and they were able to get Woodfall Primus back and destroy the Sulfuric Vortex. So what... They sequenced it very wrong, but they should have blown up the Sulfuric Vortex before they attacked with Brand, but they did not. Alright, this hand is good enough. I like this hand because it has Sulfuric Vortex, and it has an Abbot, and it also has an Island, which is like kind of randomly decent. I'm not going to play the Chrome Mox out this turn. Yes, they're on black. They could have discard, and that would suck. And they would probably get the Sulfuric Vortex. Alright, they are going to play a mana this time, though, which is kind of nice for us. And I think trying to play out Abbot of Carol Keep on like turn 1 is just bad. So here, I think what we do is this. I think we just get rid of the Magma Jet, of all things, because the strike does a little more damage. But I do think I want to get this down right now. Alright, go ahead. And then we've got Abbott next turn. So we saw Finks in their deck. I mean, green-black's going to have a lot of ways to kill permanents, right? So, I mean, they definitely could have some good ways to deal with this. I am going to do Abbot of Carroll Keep here. Ancestral one time. No, probably the worst card in my deck. It could have been hit. I'm going to wait on that. Alright, go. Yeah, a 4-drop. Okay, well, at least I guess we would have been happier to draw that card. Sometimes Abbott misses. What can you do? Alright, Pern Deed is annoying. I'm going to save the burn just to get more damage off of the Abbott here. They could blow it up there to get the Chrome Box. That seems really bad to me. Okay, so I think what we do is this. I think we just dash this dude in. Bolt their face. And slay for 5. Put him down to 6. Pern Deed also does take up a turn of their mana, which is not bad for us. It gives us another draw step, essentially, because they're not going to really want to tap out here. Alright, Bazaar. They're blowing it up now. Interesting. So that means I can dash in the Zergo to get a free 2 damage in. Okay. Well, Ancestral's still very good. 6 is not a lot. Alright, Bazaar, cool. Probably ditch some ridiculously big creatures. Yeah, Ancestral's probably our best draw. Char would also be pretty solid. I mean, the card we exile would have been great. Actually, Hazaret's also good. Hazaret's also probably close to a game win. Just gonna dash this dude in. I don't really want to. I think the 2 damage is more relevant here than having a permanent on the board, because they're probably going to resolve a Gristlebrand next turn or something. At a minimum, they can't like actually literally reanimate it. They have to like use Animate Dead or something. Well, if they don't have it, they're going to Bazaar first to see what they can find. Alright, it looks like they have something. Alright, they have Corpse Dance. For I assume the Gristlebrand. Alright, well, that's pretty good. It's going to put them to a very high life total. That sucks. But at a minimum, the Gristlebrand is now exiled. But they're going to get a lot of cards. I don't know if they draw off it, honestly. They may or may not draw. They may just take the life and just stay at 4. Alright, they're going to let it exile. Alright, so they go up on life. And we get in there for some damages. Well, what are we going to have now? Yeah, I think they would have rather actually reanimated the literal Gristlebrand as opposed... Like, Sheldred is fine. I'm still going to get 2 off the Grim Lavamancer here. Alright, that can force me to discard my card or it can get my Grim Lavamancer. Assume it just eats my Mancer. Alright, discards my card. Okay. Cool. Cool, cool. Okay, Buried Alive. Yep. Ancestral, one time deck. Not Ancestral. They have like a go for the throat or something. Attacking you. I don't really care about Liliana. I have no cards in hand. Well, opponents putting themselves in a dubious place because 3 damage burn spells are a lot more common than 4 damage, and they're going to be at 3 here. They may have like Finks or something. There are not many cards I'm going to draw that I will not cast or play out. Like, I don't think there's any in my deck. Yep. Well, you have a Finks or something like that. Okay, Cabal Ritual. It's an interesting one. For Reanimator, at least. I'm going to cast like a Thragtusk. No, I could have cast that anyways. Alright, Primeval Titan? Okay. I mean, that doesn't safeguard them from any burn I draw off the top. Like, I have to knock my top deck here. I'm a 16-land deck, or 15-land deck with a Chrome Mox. Chrome Mox is gone, so... The Lightning Strike I did exile with that, though, right? Or I exile Incinerate. That was Jet. Jet wouldn't be what I really want to hit here. Alright. And boom, boom. Rip it and grip it. Alright, cool. So, I mean, is there anything different we want to do? Bonfire of the Damned style? No. Alright, so we know they have Perndeed and Reanimate Woodfall Primus to deal with enchantments, which, I mean, they're a rock deck. They're going to be able to, they probably have Maelstrom Pulse and stuff like that, too. And we are obviously on the draw this time. Alright, well, this has an Ancestral Recall, a 1-drop. It has a Revoker, which stops the Perndeed, which is pretty decent. And it has a Confluence, just do a lot of damage. Alright, well, at least they're on the play, so that means they're less likely to try to, like, pass the turn and reanimate something. Alright, cool. Alright, Smuggler's Copter. It's a good card. They have an Abrupt Decay for this dude? No. Oddly enough, I am going to find the island here. Okay. Put him back a land drop. Ditch the Jet. Okay. Perndeed? Buried alive, possibly. Okay, so I think we do need to drop a Vortex here. That'll put them to a virtual 10. It also forces them to get back the Woodfall Primus, which is actually a less relevant card, I think, against my... Well, it doesn't gain life on the backside, so Massacre Worm, so they must have it in hand. Okay. Sulph Vortex. Fire up the Copter. Direfleet Daredevil is far less interesting to me than anything else in my hand. And I think we may have them. So like they can stop me from crewing the Copter, but I can dome them for 6 with the Fiery Confluence. Alright, Lotus Petal, cool. Could also Mass Worm, I guess. I think Gristlebrand's probably still the best target. They're doing nothing this turn. Okay. Well, doing nothing does not seem like a good way to win the game. They have to do something here. Or else they will probably just die. Alright. Take 2 off this thing. This thing I'm assuming is not getting to hit, like, Abrupt Decay it or something like that. If you don't reanimate something on this turn, I figure you probably just can't. Or it's not going to be, it's not relevant, so you either want to remove something, I don't know. Okay, get in there, you. Okay, kill my thing. What is this, Hero's Downfall? Corpse Dance. Okay. Okay, well, Shelter doesn't block this, so what does that really do? It's a flyer. And Corpse Dance is top card. So they need to, like, Massacre Worm. Yes. Ditch this. Take some damages. Yeah, this was pretty poorly played by my opponent. Corpse Dance is not targeted, so it's not like Tin Fins. Tin Fins, like, that runs on Goryo's Vengeance, so you can target. So, alright, take a Bazillion. And go ahead. Alright, cool. Well, Red Deck wins. We actually almost won. Like, sorry I had to cut the video off, but we almost actually won that first game. Like, we were like 1 life point away from actually winning it, like, on their end. Like, if they had been 1 shorter. We could have done with a 1 lifelink hit from Griselbrand. I mean, I guess we could have also won it if they had drawn, but they didn't draw, which was correct on their part. I mean, like, drawing off Griselbrand again would have been bad. But yeah, turn 2 reanimate Griselbrand is that's a rough one for Red Deck wins to beat. So I don't feel too bad about going 2-1 against the Rock Reanimator. Rock is habitually one of the harder decks for Red Deck wins to beat because, I mean, you even saw his deck list. I mean, he had like stuff like Kitchen Finks, Griselbrand reanimated on turn 2. Like, that's not easy. You need to get a little lucky. I mean, we got lucky. I mean, the last game we got to live the Ancestral Recall dream in Red Deck wins, which is pretty sweet. And I'm glad we picked it up because I do think if you're going to splash in Red Deck wins, like, what you want to be splashing is probably Ancestral Recall or Time Walk. I can see either one. Time Walk's value goes up. You too, man. In decks like this. Well, I mean, yeah, this hand's fine. This hand's actually pretty good. I mean, I would really love to draw, like, a blue land, and then we just go ham, but... Alright, this. Well, at a minimum, that card is not very good against us. Fire Drink Satyr, go. Okay, assume play a land. Yep. No value. It's fine. I think it's correct, too. I think you just pressure them as hard as you can. Especially when they're on, like, a library draw. Could Fatal Push this dude? I think that is in the cube. But this should force them. Like, you need to go aggro against a library draw. You don't want to sit around and, like, if they try to sit around and just library, it ties up a mana every turn, and they're not generally playing as many cards, so they can stay up on it. Which means their mana will be tied up at the cost of their tempo. So the way you beat that is you just tell them, hey, like, you got to do something about the board, or else you're going to die. Which is what I'm attempting to do here. Best draw in deck, Sulfuric Vortex, pretty easily. They have like a Bob. A Bob would be hilarious to me. I'd be like, sure. Sure, brother. Actually, best draw on the deck would be Scalding Tarn, fetching for Island, Ancestral Recalling myself, drawing into Sulfuric Vortex and like 2 other cards, Chrome Boxing, probably the Vu, and then playing the Sulfuric Vortex. That's Magic Christmas Land draw right there. So let's hope that happens. There are actually 3 in my deck. Alright, Bitter Blossom? Yeah, man. Okie doke. All right, they're going to draw here. Like I said, I don't think this is good for them. If I draw any land, I can Vu, blowing up the Fairy Rogue and get in there for an additional 4. All right, red. Signet, cool. I think I'm going to wait on blowing up the Rogue there. And I'm glad I did. Vu, blowing up your little flyer, take 4. Okay. That land was a pretty good draw. 1 turn off. The epic level draw was the turn prior. Alright, Mishra's Workshop. Alright, whatever. I think. Okay, Sword of a War and Peace. That's fine. I mean, that allows you to block my things, but I don't really care about you blocking my things. Alright, Time Walk, alright. That's annoying. So now they will get to attack with the Sword of War and Peace. And they gain actually a significant amount of life here, but, well, we'll see. Actually, the life gain is actually kind of relevant. Yeah, the Time Walk was a cincher there. That definitely allowed them to do some work here. So I'm going to take 5. Yep. And they gain 8 up to 15. That's actually exceedingly annoying. Okay. I'm going to be greedy here because I think I have to be a little bit. I'm going to hope to hit a land off these 3. I did. And then we've got the Chain Whirler for next turn, which should eliminate all the Fairy Rogues and allow us to get through for a decent portion of damage. They have Ancestral as well? I can't think of another. Alright, Repeal on the Rogue. So they can draw a card. Alright, makes sense. Take 2 down to 11. Yeah, that Time Walk was savage. Well, they still have some outs here, actually, because they did get the time kind of get out of it, but I still like our line, though. And if they don't have anything exceedingly relevant here, we should be able to win, like Ancient Tomb. A little spooky. Alright, Skull is annoying. I have a Braid in the deck. Chain Whirler plus the Dire Fleet actually block it together, though, which is actually interesting. I have Porcelain Legionnaire to help block it as well. They put on a flyer, it becomes a little more disconcerting. So if I attack here, they can return this thing and recast it next turn. Any burn would allow me to attack into this with my first strikers, which is not bad. Let me see, like, Fire Ice would be very good right here, because it could knock out my Porcelain Legionnaire and my Dire Fleet Daredevil. Chandra would be a good pickup, too. I can just dome the skull to remove it. Okay, draw. Okay, tapped land. If they have Fire Ice, they're going to get me pretty good, because I'm just going to throw all my first strikers in front of the skull if they attack here. Yeah, I'm going to have to do it, I think. Like, if they have one burn spell, I don't think it matters. I know it doesn't matter. But if they have two, it's going to matter. Or if they have Fire Ice. Fire Ice would just own me. Like, they just blow up the Dire Fleet, Daredevil, and the 3-1. Alright. Yeah, First Strike is a relevant ability. And now we could attack in with everything, I think, and win if they don't Damnation us or something like that. So if we attack it with everything, the first strike damage will happen before the Batter Skulled Up Fairy Rogue will happen, which would be lethal. If they... Yeah, no, that would work. Alright, well, they got something else here. Just be like a coercive portal. I'd be very happy with that. That'd be a thumbs up from me. Yeah, I think the play here was actually just to equip up the Fairy Rogue and just hope. But does that work? No, that I think does. They just have to block the biggest first striker, which is either the Porcelain Legionnaire or the Goblin Chain Whirler. Okay, yeah, got there. First strike. First strike is a hell of an ability, and it made a big difference against Batter Skull. We've played some pretty hateful cards. Alright, I think our deck is actually better than theirs, but we were not beating Library very easily. Flametongue Kavu also buys you time against Skull, which is nice. Bitter Blossom's probably not a card you want to play against red deck wins, generally speaking. It does block pretty well, but gosh, you take a lot of damage off of it. Revoker's also fine against Skull if you manage to kill it one time, I suppose. And we do have the Wasteland strip mine against the library start. It's funny, though. I actually didn't blow up the library because I think library was part of the reason my opponent lost that game because they just didn't get off of it. They were just trying to draw into more and more cards. And yeah, they could eventually bury me in cards, but the game wasn't about that. It was about tempo. Hand's great. Got Artifact Destruction. Got Sulfuric Vortex. Yeah, I like this. Got a turn 1 play. Got turn 2 Destroy Signet. Got turn 3 pretty much win the game. If I draw another land, I have Hazoret, which is just a beat down. Got that dude now. Alright, Fire Drink, go. Alright. Okay, BB. Maybe I should have saved that for a skull. Nothing. Well, if they have Drain, I'm running this into it, but oh well. They have a Repeal. Okay, I mean, that basically does the same thing, except for you get an extra draw off it. I guess it's still fine. Batterskull will be great here for me. Play a Batterskull out. And then I will Fiery Confluence the living crap out of it. Alright, Looter Elcor. Mountain, best draw in the deck. Chain Whirler. Lose your team. Tap land, cool. You have a Batterskull. May just be a concession here. Chain Whirler seems very good against their deck. I don't want them to have a blocker. I'm going to attack. See what they do here. Alright, do they have a counterspell, like a Remand or something? So I'm just going to go for the win here. Alright, and a game. Alright guys, quick break. I'm going to use the restroom, and we'll be back to play our round 3 in the finals. Alright guys, and we are back. I think this is like my 15th or 16th cube. Most of them just tend to go 2-1. I'm hoping this one can go 3-0, but I mean, we'll see. My last deck was sweet. It was, I think I just showed you that. That deck was hilarious. High Tide with no Stormwind. Just to bonfire people out. So great. I wish those decks could go 3-0. That one can only go 2-1. It's a much harder deck to play than Red Deck Wins. Red Deck Wins is not a very challenging deck to play. Well, I don't think so. I mean, we have had to make some decently tight plays. I mean, that just, and some judgment calls. Like, the Library of Alexandria game, I think, was a judgment call as to how we approach that. Like, we literally did not wasteland their library just to keep them, to continue to maintain our tempo against them, because library is not going to ever gain you tempo. I mean, unless it draws you just a bomb. But, alright, well, this hand seems pretty decent. Turn 1, Eidolon. I'm going to keep it. Keep. Alright, no Mana Dork one time. Mana Dork one time. I'm just going to get the Eidolon down now. And hope for a Chain Whirler draw. Could also just Phyrexian Revoker this nonsense. Noble Hierarch is going to get named here. Just for tempo, again. And we don't know anything else about their deck. I mean, we can make some guesses. But Phyrexian Revoker is good this way. It does stop mana abilities. It will allow them to attack us, but I don't think that's hugely relevant. They could even just block here, but then that allows me to attack for 4 on the following... I guess I can still attack for 4 on the following turn. They'll probably block. Probably makes sense to block here. They do not. Okay. Alright, Jadelight Ranger. Cool. Courser. That's a good card. Courser. I assume leave it on top. Sundering Tea. I don't think the Revoker is that relevant to me anymore. So I'm going to toss them both out there. If they want to block the most damage out, they'll block the Goblin Chain Whirler. Yeah, okay. I kind of... Okay, no. I mean, if I have Burn, you're losing this thing. Brick into brick. Well, it looks like we are in the course of bricking as well. Memory Jar, that's another brick. They've bricked pretty hard here. We are bricking pretty hard too, though. Like, we've hit many, many lands in a row. Alright, Duplicate. Their deck is not loving them. Neither is ours right now, though. Alright, land. Well, can they chain it? I mean, obviously, Fastbond plus Courser, gains you life the first time around. That's a tapped land. They want to draw that? Interesting. Alright, Wasteland. Can blow up my blue mana, which sucks. Crucible, okay. Well, that allows them to blow up infinite lands. Okay. I think they have a bunch of 6s in hand. Ancestral one time. Alright, Abbott feels pretty good here. I mean, as long as it doesn't hit a land. Come on, no land. One time. I've hit a bunch of them. Come on, deck. Do it. Many, many live draws. So I have 7 of my 16 mana sources in play. My chances are pretty good of hitting something relevant here. There are also a lot of irrelevant draws, but Alright, that was kind of an irrelevant, but it's out of the way. So they gain a boatload of life next turn. They're probably going to win this. I don't think they were favored to, but we both bricked for a long time. At least there's a brick on top of their deck. Now, what they can do is they can put something bad on top of my deck. But at a minimum, their Courser is dead if they want to block any of my stuff. Even if I draw the Chrome Mox, which they probably have to put a land on top because the Chrome Mox would pump the Abbot of Carol Keep. And I'd cast it down just to pump it so I could attack in and not have them block. But they do have the Memory Jar, and they're probably going to cast the Primal Command this turn. Gain 7 life, find a creature. So they go up to 10, and they could shuffle the top of their deck by doing that, and possibly find some mana. Char should be quite good as well. So we flooded and they kind of screwed this game, which is weird. It's a weird game. Their deck's very powerful, though, so they're playing a blue-green deck that probably uses Time Twister, Memory Jar, and Fast Bond, plus Courser is a combo to get all the lands out of the deck and then just cast mono huge stuff. We can kind of fade some of that. Okay. So they did what with that? What were their choices on that? Oh, shuffle my graveyard in my library? We know Memory Jar's in hand. That's a draw 7. I don't want to see that. Signet, draw. That should limit their ability to draw a bazillion cards. Alright, Crucible. They can wasteland my land and get a land back, but they're going to... Yep, wasteland. Cool. Wasteland also fuels Grim Lavamancer here, which is a reason not to really care for this line of play. But Wasteland is not exceedingly good against me. If they have Strip Mine, that's pretty savage, but Alright, Signet, fine. Another Signet coming, which is fine, I think. Very interesting game. Alright, well that's not what we wanted to see. Think about blue next turn, which is relevant for Time Walk, or Time Twister, rather. Memory Jar is relevant. I don't want this to be blocked, so I'll attack with both of these. If they want to block the Abbot, they can, trade essentially for my 2 land cards in the yard. Okay. Well, next turn I will probably attack with all. Alright, well they hit what they needed if they have Time Twister. Time Twister is also dubious against a red deck wins opponent with a bazillion open mana. Alright, the Walking Ballista is spooky too. Okay. So I do 2 and then attack with everything and get a bunch of damage in here. Primeval Titan. Alright, it's not Primeval Titan. I think that'd be nasty, but I think they would have cast that a while back if they had it. Alright, this is a Memory Jar. No, it's something bigger. Prime Time? Alright, Duplicant. Targeting a what? Probably my 3/3 Goblin Chain Whirler. Okay, this dude. So let's think here. If I attack with all, they have to block the 2/3s. And I can get in for 2. Yeah. They can do 2. They can probably get me very close to dead with the their silly. Maybe they want to just memory jar, but if they memory jar, like I can probably hit a burn spell on 4 mana, and drawing 7 cards out of my deck that I have not already seen. Yeah, there's tons of burn in my deck still. All right, this is just a big walking bee. Well, let me think. Does this actually kill? All right, upheaval. Okay. Well, any burn spell I think still does it, right? Okay. I guess they do get to play their whole hand back out. We'll see here. This is pretty sweet. Get a memory jar. Okay, Signet. Signet. This thing. Definitely don't want Pup. So now it is going to have to be Walking Ballista, I think. Alright, Tinker. If they can't gain a life here, we win, I think. They could Tinker just to see another top deck, to find the land to gain the life. I mean, it depends on what's in their hand, right? We know memory jars in their hand. They can memory jar here into a bunch of lands, and that would also gain them life. I would get this hand back, though. Obviously, I'm out of mana at the moment, so I don't have any spells. Not like a gut shot or a Fire Blast wouldn't do it even if I had it, but I don't. The unfortunate thing is about a memory jar is I am pretty flooded right now. They're probably playing the Tink just for the memory jar, which would make sense. Their deck is very sweet. I think this is one of the cooler decks I've seen in a while. I've seen decks like this before. I've actually, I think, built one a while back. It's hard to make happen, but it's a Fastbond Courser combo. The Fastbond combo also works with Zuran Orb and Crucible of Worlds as well. Now, if they find Strip Mine, they can just limit my mana. Alright, they are tinkering for something. Is it like a Blightsteel Colossus? We know they already have the jar in hand. Alright, that can stop what? Doesn't stop mana abilities, so it stops... That doesn't stop anything. I don't get that. That does not stop mana abilities, so the Mox is still good to go. And they found a Woodfall Primus on top, which is not great for them. They can still jar here. But I assume a lot of their lands... I mean, they probably could get enough lands. For 8, maybe not, but yeah, it does not work on mana abilities. Revoker, however, does. Well, they have a jar to gain the 1 life they need to stay alive, which is pretty solid. And then, actually, it's gonna be tough. Like, so what I need to have happen is like draw a lightning bolt. Not in my jar, because I do have a lightning bolt in the deck. So play the Sulfuric Vortex. If they jar, I guess they jar. They ditch the Woodfall Primus at that point, and they're lower on cards obviously than I am. So there may be components they actually need to keep. I don't know. This is going to be an interesting game. This has been an interesting game so far. Because like they were extremely screwed in the beginning. Like, they were very screwed. They were drawing like 6s and 5s and 7s. And they were stuck on 4 mana or 5 mana or whatever. And we were kind of flooded. And I think whoever broke the stalemate first is probably going to win. Like, I did not think I was exceeding... I thought I was advantaged during that time. Because, I mean, like, my chance of drawing land is pretty low on a 16 lander, essentially. All right, Twister. Upheaval on top. All right. All right. So we know we're going to get Heavled next turn, which kind of stinks. All right, Jar. They're going to Jar too. Good Jar. They're going to Jar right now. None of these cards are exceedingly relevant. I mean, yeah, no, they're not. Wonder if they have a Strip Mine as well. Maybe, maybe not. Hard telling. Could have attacked and got rid of the Courser, but I really think the Walking Ballista is the most dangerous thing in their deck to me right now. So they can go to 4 here. If I attack next turn, I actually do have lethal. So we'll see what they get up to. I mean, they are probably running short on lands as well. Jade Light. Jade Light's pretty interesting. It's an interesting inclusion to this deck, and I think it's pretty creative because it does draw you a bunch of lands, which is probably just as positive as like finding spells with it. Again, they have Twistered, so they don't per se have the Walking Ballista, but I'm not willing to bet my game on that with 5 cards versus 12. That like essentially a 50-50 bet or a 40-60 bet that they don't have it and it's still in their deck. But I am glad the Heavle is gone. Now, unless they have like Regrowth in hand or something like that, it's going to be a little harder to Heavle here. If they have Regrowth, they can just... Alright, so they shuffle their library up and they have the Twister again. They gain some life, play a land. They could just cast a Woodfall Primus here, or another Upheaval. They're down to 12 minutes in game 1, though. Their deck is obviously a lot more skill intensive and involved than my deck is. This deck I've got right now is not. Alright, so what do we get here? Sundering Titan. Okay. That's a big dude. It's going to blow up 2 of their lands, but they can get them back with Crucible, which is fine. So I lose a mana here. I think that's okay. Alright. But I do have the... I guess I probably should have considered casting out the Smuggler's Copter. Okay, this. Getting back Primal Command. Alright, so this is how the deck loops. Primal Command is essentially the same as... Alright, what else we got? Signet. Is essentially the same as Regrowth for the purposes of their build. So they have the Primal Command now. Interesting, interesting. So you go. force their hand with the Primal Command. At a minimum, I don't think they can gain life if they Primal Command the Sulfuric Vortex. I have to remember how that resolves. That's actually an interesting ruling. I mean, they obviously play the land off the top, go back up to 10. Blocking here is dubious. Okay. Woodfall Primus, okay. Jump. Mystic Snake is also in their deck. That's interesting to note. Also in their hand right now as well. The Woodfall Primus, the Sulfuric Vortex, more than likely. And do we have to block here? We probably should. I mean, I have to bank that they don't have the Walking Ballista. I know one of the cards in their hand. Because I can't very well block the Woodfall Primus. Alright, something else blew up the Mutavault. Yep. You can block the Woodfall Primus, but obviously doesn't do as much. Mystic Snake. I assume this gets snaked. Yep. Nope. Okay. And this is very lethal. Alright, so they got us, but we have eaten their clock down to a little under 9 minutes. Against this deck, well, Mana Flare is going to be very bad against them. Dualcaster is kind of interesting. What would it get? Not much, really. I think we just sub on this. I think we just need to go fast and kill them quickly. Because their deck obviously has the long game lockdown. They essentially have the Time Twister Regrowth combo. Which, if you're familiar, just means you can continue to loop your deck and your threats. They also have Upheaval. Primal Command is a worrisome card, as is Courser of Kruphix. Templating against Courser of Kruphix, we have Sulfuric Vortex to stop the life gain. We have a decent number of First Strikers. Did not see a ton of burn that game. So I think if we ever had, we'd probably lock the game up. This is a keeper. So we'll lead on Mountain, Dire Fleet. Yeah, this hand's good. When he says wow, I assume he just has a turn 1 win or something like that, or he can play his whole deck. Because Fastbond allows you to do that. No, I'm tracking, man. I know what this deck does too. I understood it. I just All right, Oath. That's probably fine. Was it fine? Courser, okay. What the? Moto, come on, man. Moto kills me sometimes. All right, they're just going to go to the last game. Yeah, I was going to say, I probably had them if that attack had gone through. Like, I pushed attack all, F6 for time, and unfortunately, Moto did not read my action, or maybe I misclicked, I don't know. That was certainly an attack, though, or supposed to be an attack. But, hey, what can you do? Hashtag Moto things. Hand's agreeable. I have an answer to Courser, which is kind of their central card. Okay, Deathrite, cool. Well, that's probably going to be a Courser on turn 2, which sucks. Okay, that's better for us. Okay, burn off the land. And get what? Another Signet, okay. Well, I think here... No, we don't wasteland. I think we just jet this dude. Alright, is this a duplicate? Okay, Walking Ballista. Okay. I don't like it, guys. Don't like it one bit. But I gotta get rid of this thing. It's just gonna slow me down too much. Yep. Alright, Fact or Fiction. Ditching Fast Bond, interesting. So they're looking for the Courser. Courser's the card I really just don't want to see, but I mean, they find it, they find it. I think I had to burn off the Walking Ballista there. Okay, Jade Light I think is okay, so Sundering Titan. Probably want to ditch him. Yeah, an Eternal Witness. Probably want to keep that. It's an unfortunate one to draw there. I think we set up for Hazoret. Alright, this is going to do what? Get rid of a land? This is a primal command, more than likely. Looking for Courser and gaining some life. Okay, they put their deck back together and find a Courser, I assume. Okay, yep, I'll take it. Play out the tapped land here. Take 8. Yes. Okay. Well, hopefully no blue land. Plus like Twister. Duplicant. Okay, Eternal Witness getting back the command. Okay. Alright, secondary blue land, so I need to blow up one of the blue lands to stop upheaval. Yep, take the... Alright, well... I think this is easy. Alright, Primal Command, doing what? Gaining and drawing and finding a creature, I'd assume. Duplicate was found, okay. And if they just cast a duplicate here, I think we win, because we're just going to dome them with the Hazoret. This is 3 mana, right? Okay, duplicate targeting Hazoret, I assume. I think that's all she wrote, so I'm just going to fly through the air and kill them with the copter. Alright. Alrighty. Well, there you go, guys. So, the last, 5 or 6 cubes I've kind of been doing some nonsense. This one, I tried to draft reasonably well. Like, the first pick, you could say, was a little more speculative on the Chandra over the Karn, Scion of Urza. But I think, from a signaling perspective, it actually was correct. So, like I was saying, I think, one of the big takeaways from how we drafted is, we looked at that first pack, and I think pick 1, pack 1s actually are important. Like, a lot of people say, your first 2 picks don't really matter in Cube. You'll find your signals after that. Well, that for that argument to hold, someone actually has to be setting signals. And based on that first pack, I figured, all right, well, Chandra is a great 4-drop in either a blue-red deck, or just a mono-red deck. It's one of the better 4-drops. It is card advantage, even though we never even saw it in the entire cube when we played the games. But the card, that was the only red card. It was the only card that would feasibly make someone want to go into red deck wins. And, I think Karn, Scion of Urza was the pickup if you wanted to stay open. Like I said, though, I have not been that impressed. Card advantage is great. Card advantage is all well, but only in the mono brown deck can he actually work as a threat. And I would rather have my value cards, which Chandra is a value card. She draws you cards. She domes people. She can make mana. She does basically everything. She does a removal spell. She can win the game all on her own. Karn really, only accepting one deck cannot win the game all on his own. He makes little artifact dudes that are 1/1s if you don't have other artifacts. Big Karn is more of a build around as well. And I think it's in an archetype that tends to be more drafted, which is either, big mana control or mono green ramp. Mono green ramp, probably not as drafted, but when it is, it's heavily cut and you don't want to be in it. And I think, I still defend my very first pick there. I think that, based on that pick and what else we saw in that pack, because that was also very relevant as what was in that pack, we were able to kind of set a signal and then get the deck that we wanted. Well, not that we per se wanted, but the deck that we figured we could get and make it very good. And we got this pretty cool red deck wins deck. I mean, we did beat, Gristlebrand Kitchen Finks Reanimator deck. We beat, a Batter Skull. And we beat this very sweet, this last game, this very sweet blue-green Courser of Kruphix combo deck that utilizes Courser of Kruphix plus Fastbound plus, all kinds of draw 7s to just put all the lands into play and not lose life because you have Courser, which is a very cool combo. And similar combos exist, like you have Zuran Orb Fastbond is also a very big combo with Crucible of Worlds, a Fastbond plus... Glacial Chasm. Fastbond's a very old card, so if you play Glacial Chasm, you sack a land, but if you have Crucible in play, you can replay it. But Glacial Chasm says you can't be dealt damage. It says prevent all damage that would be dealt to you, and you can't attack all that, but you can get rid of it eventually. But what you do is, because Fastbond is an older card, it says whenever you play an additional land, after the first one, you take 1 damage. It doesn't say life loss, so it works to combo out as well. A lot of cool combos with Fastbond. I think it was very cool to see that deck. We had a much more fun police, kind of down-to-earth, red deck wins deck that splashed blue because we, drew out one of the best cards in the whole cube, which is Ancestral Recall. I think it would have only been rivaled in the deck I played, possibly by Soul Ring or Time Walk, that I would have splashed for. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the cube. I had fun playing it, and yeah, pretty cool. Got to get there one more time with red deck wins. And hopefully if we do draft again, I don't know, we'll see. If I put them up, I want to try to draft well. I've drafted probably 5 to 6 more that I haven't put up on YouTube, and I kind of drafted for fun. I wanted to do cool things, and this time around I just said, hey, I'm going to put one up that I actually think I drafted well. Because I know how to draft, I just sometimes want to have fun, and that's anyone. That's Cube, I mean. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and take care now.